Gather round, it's Taley time. Classics.
Hello and welcome to Taley Time Classics with Charles Scrivens. I'm your host, Charles Scrivens. Today's tale is one with which you are probably already familiar, and my personal favorite fairy tale, Rapunzel. So you already know that it is a tale predominantly about poor building planning. I mean, the Fire Safety Board goes nuts over this one, but I think there's a little more to it that you may not remember. Let's find out.
Rapunzel, edited by Charles Scrivens. Once there was a young couple expecting their first child. The husband, wanting his wife to be as comfortable and content as could possibly be, spent all his time pampering her. He attended to his wife's every need and would not let her lift a finger to do anything. As such, she spent much of each day sitting by the window enjoying the breeze and looking down upon the nearby walled garden of Dame Gothel, a feared enchantress. The expecting mother developed an insatiable craving for the vegetables at which she spent the day staring. One day, when the husband brought his wife lunch, she sighed deeply with disappointment. "What's wrong, dear?" asked the husband. "I do not want this food. I want rampion." "Rampion? Then I will go to the market and get some right away." "No, I want that rampion," the wife said, pointing out the window to Dame Gothel's garden. "But," the husband hesitated for a second, "is not all rampion the same?" "Do not be silly. I want the freshest rampion there is. Look at that garden, greener and healthier than any other you would find, ripe for the picking. To let it grow another day would be a waste. I need that rampion." The husband saw his wife's mind was unwavering and acquiesced. He went to the wall of the garden, nervously looking around to make sure that there was no sign of Dame Gothel, and hopped over the wall. He made his way straight to the rampion, but as he bent down to pick it, Dame Gothel appeared. "What are you doing trespassing in my garden?" she asked. "You shall be punished." "Oh, I'm terribly sorry," the man sputtered. "You see, I absolutely must have this rampion for my pregnant wife." "Is that so?" Dame Gothel said sweetly, her rage suddenly gone. "Then I will let you have all the rampion you desire, as well as forgive your trespassing, if you give me your child." The man glanced back towards his home with his wife in it, as Dame Gothel stood menacingly above him. That was all the hesitation the terrified man took before agreeing to the deal.
You know, in that second of hesitation, he's thinking, do I want to die here, or would I rather get to walk back across my yard and into my house first? If I were the guy, I'd definitely try and stall. Well, me, I'd love to give you the baby, but, and here's the thing, my wife probably should get a say. We're a team, you know, so how about I head back over and see what she has to say? You can just stay right there, no need to come with me. Just relax.
When the child was born, Dame Gothel appeared in order to take her away. She named the child Rapunzel, after the rampion taken from her garden. Dame Gothel raised Rapunzel as though she was her own child. Despite the love Dame Gothel felt for the child for which she provided, the enchantress was not motherly, for she did not know how to be so. As Rapunzel grew older and began to develop into a beautiful young woman, Dame Gothel became more and more possessive of Rapunzel, and fearful that Rapunzel would be taken away from her. In order to keep Rapunzel safe from others, to isolate her from the outside world, to preserve Rapunzel just for herself, Dame Gothel decided to lock Rapunzel away in a tower. The enchantress assured Rapunzel that it was for her own good. However, Rapunzel was lonelier than ever, with even Dame Gothel spending most of her time elsewhere. Rapunzel had little to do, so she often spent her days looking out of her window and singing. One day, while she was doing just that, a young prince just so happened to be wandering about the nearby woods. The prince heard the singing and at once knew it was the most beautiful voice he had ever heard or ever would hear. Following the voice, the prince soon came upon Rapunzel's tower. "Greetings," the prince called up towards the window. "I heard you singing from yonder woods. You have a lovely voice." The prince received no answer, which puzzled him, as he was sure that he should be heard by anyone in the tower. He decided to knock on the door. He went around the tower to do so, and went round and found there was no door. This puzzled the prince even further. He called up to the window once more, but to no avail. A hidden hatch in the ground was the only way left to get inside the tower by the prince's estimation, so the prince stooped down close to the ground to look for a trap door.
What exactly is the prince's plan if he finds a trapdoor? Knock on it? Knock, knock, anybody home? I've just casually come across your secret trapdoor and would like to say hi. I don't think so. Though, maybe I should get a trapdoor. Having a trapdoor instead of a normal door for the entrance to your home would be way more effective than a no soliciting sign.
At this time, Dame Gothel approached the tower. She did not see the prince as he was stooped behind some brambles, and remained hidden after he noticed her. Dame Gothel walked up to the tower, right beneath the window, and called, "Rapunzel, let down your hair." Long flowing locks of golden hair cascaded down the side of the tower to the enchantress. The prince watched in amazement as the enchantress climbed up the hair and into the window. The prince stayed in hiding and waited, watching the window the whole time, until finally the golden hair was thrown out the window once again, and the enchantress climbed back down. The prince sat and waited a while longer after Dame Gothel had left before getting back up and placing himself beneath the tower window. He looked around uncertainly, making sure he was alone, then called up to the window, "Rapunzel, let down your hair." The golden hair soon tumbled out the window. The prince climbed the golden ladder up into the tower. Inside was a quaint room with little of interest, except at the center, where stood Rapunzel, with a face of such beauty as to match that of the voice the prince had heard earlier. "Who are you?" asked a suspicious Rapunzel. Someone who knew her name must be a friend of Dame Gothel, but no one had ever been mentioned. "I am a prince," the prince replied. He expected an impressed and surprised look from Rapunzel, but no such look appeared. The label was meaningless to Rapunzel. The prince better explained who he was, which fascinated Rapunzel, who knew nothing of royalty. Rapunzel found the prince extremely friendly, and her suspicions subsided. The prince also explained why he had come to Rapunzel's tower, that her voice alone was enough for him to fall in love with her, and that meeting her made him all the more sure. "Take me as your husband. Come back with me to my castle, and we will be together forever, wanting for nothing." The love that the prince felt for Rapunzel was clear and overwhelming. "Dame Gothel will never love me as much as this man before me," Rapunzel thought. "But how will I follow you out of this tower?" Rapunzel asked. "You can climb down my hair, but I have no one's hair with which to do the same." "That is a problem," the prince replied. "Is there no other way down?" "None. You must bring me a means of escape if you want to be together. Even if you brought me naught but a thread of silk, I could weave a rope with which to climb down this tower." The prince vowed to return the following evening, then climbed down Rapunzel's hair and left. The next evening the prince returned as he said he would. He greeted Rapunzel merrily and presented her with a thread of silk, which she happily took. The prince came to the tower night after night, bringing with him a thread of silk for Rapunzel each time.
The prince is seriously just going to bring a single thread of silk each night? You could blame Rapunzel for setting the bar so low, but this is a pretty pathetic showing from the prince. How do you even get only one thread of silk a day? Presumably he walked right past the ladder store and went to the thread store and said, "I'd like some rope," to which the response must have been, "Sorry, we're fresh out of rope." "Okay, that's fine. I can make my own," or at least Rapunzel has time to. "I'm actually kind of busy with, stuff. I'll just take a bunch of thread then." "Ooh, sorry, we just have a single thread of silk left. We're supposed to get a new shipment in tomorrow if you want a second piece of thread, though." "Perfect. This will work out great. Won't Rapunzel be happy to hear she'll be down and free in just a matter of months?"
Rapunzel spent her days weaving, singing to herself as she did. One evening, after bringing Rapunzel dinner, Dame Gothel left Rapunzel's tower as usual, but was soon stopped by a fit of coughing. Wondering what caused her coughing, Dame Gothel's thoughts turned to Rapunzel. Perhaps Rapunzel was suffering from the same affliction. The two had just been in contact after all. Dame Gothel determined that she would bring Rapunzel some medicine, just in case. As such, Dame Gothel returned to the tower with the medicine. "Rapunzel, let down your hair," Dame Gothel croaked. The golden locks of Rapunzel quickly appeared and Dame Gothel struggled up to the window. Rapunzel, whose back was to the window, complained, "Must you pull so hard, dear? It felt as though you were as heavy as my caretaker." "Aha, but what is this?" the enchantress exclaimed. "After all I have done to protect you from the world, you spurn me, deceive me, betray me, and let someone else into your tower. It will not go unpunished."
Ah, Rapunzel, the lesson here is never to talk about someone behind their back or your back or anybody's back. Or maybe just don't talk about other people's weight at all. Or perhaps to look out the window before you throw your hair out to somebody. Hey, we're learning all sorts of stuff here. These are all valuable lessons.
The enchantress took a pair of scissors from her pocket, grabbed Rapunzel's hair, and cut it off. "It will not do to have you here now. I will have to send you somewhere much safer," Dame Gothel remarked, still seething with anger. Dame Gothel tied the remains of Rapunzel's hair to the bed, threw the other end out of the window, and climbed down with Rapunzel. Once Rapunzel was safely stowed elsewhere, Dame Gothel returned to the tower, climbed back up the dangling hair, and pulled it back into the tower. Soon after, the prince came to the tower and called, "Rapunzel, let down your hair." The hair appeared out the window as usual. As soon as the prince had one foot in the tower, Dame Gothel spoke. "So you are the one that would ruin my precious Rapunzel." The shocked prince looked for Rapunzel, but saw that she was not at the end of the hair or anywhere else to be seen. He tried to flee and began to scramble back down the tower. However, in his panic, he lost his grip and fell. The brambles near the foot of the tower softened the impact of his fall, but struck both of his eyes. The blinded prince struggled to his feet and limped away, eager to leave Dame Gothel behind. The prince, disoriented from his fall, knew not which way he wandered, and was hopelessly lost in the forest without his sight. He found a fallen branch which he used to get a better command of his surroundings. He survived on nothing more than berries, roots, and stream water as he traveled through the woods. When the prince finally exited the woods, he did so on completely the wrong side. Nowhere near his home, the prince was now faced with a great desert. He did not turn back, though, simply happy to have escaped the forest. That joy was short-lived, however, as the desert had no new berries for him to collect and barely any water. The prince continued onwards, growing weaker by the day, until one day he felt so weak that he did not believe he could keep going. As he lay in the desert, he thought he could almost hear a voice on the wind. "It sounds just like my darling Rapunzel," the prince thought. "If only I could see her again." Motivated by the thought, the prince found enough strength to get back up. Now he was sure he heard something and did his best to follow the source. The prince got very excited, forgetting his fatigue altogether. There was not just a voice, but someone singing as beautifully as the prince had only heard once before in his life. "It is surely my dear, dear Rapunzel!" The prince followed the voice to an oasis in the desert where stood Rapunzel, a child in each arm. "My dearest prince!" Rapunzel exclaimed. "However did you find me?" Rapunzel rushed over to the prince and embraced him. Tears of joy fell down her face onto his. The tears, so pure and so good, cleared the fog from the prince's eyes and fully restored his sight. The prince was overjoyed to once again see Rapunzel and their 2 children besides.
Wait, what? Their 2 children? Did I miss something? Well, I guess that explains why the prince was in no rush to find more than 1 thread of silk a day. Gee, it sure will be great once I gather enough thread for you to finish the rope, then there will be so much for us to do together. There's not much for us to do here besides talk, unless you want to write some letters to the storks. Ask your parents, kids.
"We must escape soon," said Rapunzel, "for Dame Gothel will surely be coming before my provisions run out. But how will we all survive the desert?" "I got here blind and weak, with only your beautiful voice to guide me. Now that I can see and know the way, I can lead us out with ease." After such a long time gone, the prince and his family were received with great joy. Rapunzel finally knew true freedom and lived happily with the prince for the rest of her days.
There you have it. So remember, girls, if you're lucky, one day you'll find a man who will listen to you, especially when he's hopelessly lost and way off course. You may need to learn to sing, though.